Well, Tanya Dalton and myself have caught up with the Silver Ferns in the lead-in to this tournament. We've been out at the Games Village and we've caught up with at least half a dozen of the players, and we can tell you that the vibe in the camp is excellent. They've been in Singapore for the lead-in. They've had practice games against the Singapore national side, plus some pretty vigorous training. In fact, so vigorous that the wing defence, Jolene Henry, actually chipped a tooth. So there's been no shortage of vigorous activity from the Silver Ferns camp. And the Silver Ferns also come into this Commonwealth Games campaign slightly under the radar because they lost their last test match to Australia. But I think what that's done is lowered the expectation, and former Silver Fern Tanya Dalton, the lowering of expectation for a Silver Ferns team defending its title, not a bad thing.
No, it's not. I think the build-up they've had is smart. You know, they started with that one-off test against Samoa, they moved to Jamaica a little bit tougher, and then that three-test series against Australia. And in the back of their mind, they beat the Australians by 19. So to finish off that third test, yeah, they didn't win, but they got players out on court, and they can come into this Commonwealth Games a little bit under the radar.
Papua New Guinea, not a well-known opponent, but that won't matter for the Silver Ferns because games like this are often about just feeling your way and getting a good game notched up for your opening performance of Commonwealth Games. A massive morning here indeed at Thiagaraj Stadium in Delhi, because New Zealand, the defending champions, the Silver Ferns, have their first match of netball. And it comes just 12 hours after the consummate professional Irene van Dijk was the flag bearer for New Zealand. So an extremely special 24 hours for netball in New Zealand, Tanya Dalton.
Without doubt. I actually wonder if she slept last night. You know, what a huge honour for her to be the flag bearer. You were there at the naming of it, Andrea, and the emotion was flowing. So I'm sure she will be dying to get out there, start this game today, get this campaign going. And yeah, for all these players, it's an 18-month preparation they've done, and the work they've got that's gone into it will all start to pay off.
Not a huge crowd in here at Thiagaraj Stadium, and to be fair, a lot of them won't be too familiar with netball. Perhaps a couple of blokes there who will be.
Well, having talked to the Silver Ferns, no one's got any family members here. So I guess a big contrast to Melbourne, where I think they practically, you know, between them and Australia, filled the stadium. So a big difference. But, you know, they're here on a mission. They're here to come back, defend their title. So they won't be worrying about who's in the stand. They're out here with a job to do.
Papua New Guinea, New Zealand have played them just twice. And the umpires for this match, Gary Burgess from Great Britain and Paula Ferguson from Australia. So some familiar calls. Certainly, you know, nothing wrong with the umpires who are here for this tournament. They've had a little bit of trouble getting into the venue each day.
Well, speaking to one yesterday, she got all her coins taken off her. She's like, how am I going to do the toss? So, yeah, there's been a bit of entertainment here, a few struggles, but at the end of the day, we're here, we've started on time, and yeah, so far so good.
So Jolene Henry nursing a chipped tooth as a result of that vigorous training accident in Singapore. And for Papua New Guinea, the Pepes, well, a big challenge for them.
It is, and you just hope that they're not in awe of the Silver Ferns. You know, you've got to come out, you've got to be on a level playing field. I guess, like you said, they've only played the Silver Ferns twice, back in 1971 and 1991, and both those scores blew out to about a 90-goal margin. So it'll be interesting to see how they front up today.
The value of a game like this for New Zealand, a first hit out at Commonwealth Games, they will go into it with absolutely specific strategies set for them by their coach, Ruth Aiken.
Yes, and their routines, you know, from getting on the bus, getting here, their warm-ups, their quarter-time breaks. So it's not just that on-court routine, it's the off-court as well. I'm sure Ruth will, like Norma Plummer, want to get the whole squad out there, get them feeling good, so they've known they've all been on the court, they've all played. Yeah, so they just want to get going. And having talked to them a few days ago, they're chomping at the bit.
They're not only chomping at the bit, but they're finding everything about being in the Games Village perfectly adequate. So all of the pre-Commonwealth Games talk about the village not being ready and beds being uncomfortable and all of the rest of it. This New Zealand team is just putting all of that aside, and they're perfectly happy and they're perfectly focused on defending their title.
Yeah, it certainly has. And their build-up, like I mentioned earlier, it's and tougher. They've spent a week in Singapore, acclimatised to the heat there. They've arrived here. They all looked reasonably fresh, happy, and the one thing that struck me about the Silver Ferns, they looked really together. They looked strong as a unit and very, very focused.
The pressure of defending champions, though, I mean, it's something that must be sitting in the back of their minds.
Without doubt, seven of these players out here are defending the title. There's 5 newbies in the team, so an extremely experienced lot. They know the feeling, the vision of Irene van Dijk chucking that ball in the air after that final whistle in Melbourne. I think it sent shivers down our spines, all Kiwis. So they've got to think of those sort of feelings. They've got to gradually tick it off day by day, game by game, and think of those sort of things and all that hard work that they've done.
You say day by day and game by game. Papua New Guinea first up for the Silver Ferns, but the big match in their pool against England, who really have been a bogey team for this Ferns outfit.
Well, England, they've been solid over the past few seasons. You know, they've beaten Australia, they've beaten New Zealand. So talking to some of the English players, they're feeling pretty confident. And on the day, you know, out of that top 4, Jamaica, England, Silver Ferns, Australia, any team could take any other team sort of thing. So Ferns know they can't look for that gold medal playoff. They've got to take it day by day. We just saw there in the stands Lynn Gunson. She's been helping out with the attack, the mid-court, so a very experienced coach.
And sitting with the boss of Netball New Zealand, Raylene Castle, so you'd expect they'll be making all the noise that they can to support their team. The capacity here at Tiagaraj Stadium is close on 5,000 people. 500 tickets sold today as we take a look now at the Papua New Guinea team. And really, Tanya, not massive amounts of experience, and in fact no known players, no ANZ players, just a basic unit of 7 players who will be giving it their all against one of the very best sides in the world.
Certainly, and I guess for the Silver Ferns, looking at their opposition, it's just about getting started, sussing out your partner, and the New Zealanders will be more focused about their game and what they do. An interesting start here for Ruth Aitken. Grace Rasmussen gets the start at goal attack. And that defensive pairing, Katrina Grant, Casey Williams, who were simply outstanding against the Aussies in that last Test series.
And for Irene van Dijk, well, a huge day. As we said 12 hours ago, she was the flag bearer for New Zealand. Today, she equals Leslie Rumball's record as the most capped Silver Fern, which means the next test that she plays will make her the most capped New Zealand netballer.
Yeah, so a pretty special day. I know Leslie Rumball's actually here in Delhi, so we'll have to try and track her down. But yeah, this will be her 110th test cap. She's also played 72 tests for South Africa, so it's a pretty unbelievable stat when you look at it. And you know, such an amazing woman, a true role model for everyone, for all.
An amazing defensive combination with Katrina Grant and Casey Williams, and a Scarlett putting the bib on Katrina Grant. So much choice for Waitamanu and coach Ruth Aitken.
And that's where these games, you say, do they count? But these players are getting out there. They're showing Ruth and what they're capable of. They want to get the start in the big games. So every opportunity they get, they will want to prove to their coaches.
How fired up will the Silver Ferns team be, Tanya?
Oh, look, they'll be so excited. You know, all this hard work, it's finally, they are here. I mean, there was speculation, would this even happen? But, you know, the court's fantastic. Everyone seems happy. And they will just want to touch that ball for the first time.
And they're up against the Papua New Guinea Pepes. The two have played just twice throughout netball history. As Irene van Dijk leads the Silver Ferns onto the court for their first match of this 2010 Commonwealth Games campaign. Big smile on the dial for Laura Langman. New Zealand's super keen to get their campaign underway. Game time. The Silver Ferns 2010 Commonwealth Games campaign has begun. And it takes just a matter of seconds for Irene van Dijk to notch up goal number 1 against this Papua New Guinea Pepe's side.
And already we see this unorthodox, I should say, style of attack.
Hand to it and good retrieval, but Katrina Grant's not able to find Jolene Henry. Throw into the Peppies. New Zealand defenders electing tight man-on-man to launch this game, and that's a beauty
For Rakees, first up shot.
with ease. And Grace Rasmussen combining with Laura Langman. And a change to our start list. Our start list had Temapara George in the wing attack bid, but in fact it's Liana Barrett-Chase. The Peppies now charge down, and there's intercept number 1 for Casey Williams. Expect plenty of them.
And straight into that free-flowing play, straight line.
And straight through the hoop. And Casey Williams, just balance and precision. She's such a beautiful athlete. Rasmussen now adds to it. And already not even 2 minutes old, and the Silver Ferns are romping away with it. Ricky's spending a lot of time out of the circle as the Papua New Guinea goal shoot.
They're struggling to look down. They're having to look sideways. So credit to the New Zealand defenders. And already that length in the ball.
And Grace Rasmussen, we've seen her play mostly wing attack for her ANZ franchise, the Northern Mystics, but as a goal attack under the tutelage of the Silver Ferns coach, Ruth Aiken, she's just come on and leaps and bounds, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's beautiful to watch in the circle. She slices that circle, which in turn opens it up for Van Dijk. And what I like about her play over the last sort of few months is she's prepared to put the shot up. Oh, Langman.
Massive height difference, and now a stepping call, so nothing going the way of this Papua New Guinea side. And Barrett-Chase hits the hot spot at pace.
Again, Rasmussen drawing to the top, opening it up on the base for Van Dijk.
And when you give Irene van Dijk freedom on that baseline, she's just able to utilise that space so beautifully. Barrett-Chase now finds Rasmussen. Stunning. Already. Just under 12 minutes to run, so only 3 minutes old this game, and already 8-1. New Zealand over the Papua New Guinea Peppies.
Well, the Peppies, they've played in the Pacific Series. They've come up against Fiji, Cook Islands, Samoa, which they had, wow, nice shot. Narrow losses too.
And that's Melita Roberts, one of the season campaigners for this Papua New Guinea side. And the Papua New Guinea side, they were the 2008 Nations Cup champions, which a tournament they played in Singapore. So they've had some good results on the world stage, but really they're here almost by accident, Tanya, with the omission of Fiji from the Commonwealth at the moment. Rasmussen penalised. And again, Roberts out of the circle, but a hand to it. Jolene Henry should be called for contact. And Ricky's a good shooting position over the long limbs of Casey Williams.
Oh. Thought Van Dijk may lay it up then.
She likes to add a bit of flair to her game, doesn't she? Breaking call goes against Rachanda Kasman, the wing attack for the Papua New Guinea side. And the Ferns are away again. Langman in the pocket. Beautiful triangle.
And Napa Naomi for Papua New Guinea. Head's looking a little bit dejected already.
Smile on the face of the Ferns coach, Ruth Aiken, though. The team's running rampant. And Van Dijk notches up another. Van Dijk up against Nisha Omi, who's 1.75 m. I think, Tanya, you would say she's vertically challenged for a defender.
So for a normal person, she's actually quite tall.
Certainly got to feel for her, though.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference in height. The long arms of Casey Williams again comes up short, snaffles the rebound.
But the Ferns will have come into this game with certain challenges, certain goals. Shooters would have said they want to get over 90% of their shots in, scoring off centre passes, scoring off turnovers.
Grace Rasmussen set the screen. And just so effective. Pretty strong bench for the Silver Ferns as well. You look at the 7 out here, you'd expect Ruth Aiken and Wai Taumanu to get as many of their players out as they can. Williams, brilliant. It's almost like a netball festival. And G. Williams flies through the air.
Henry got out of the way. She doesn't want another knock chip tooth.
Well, 2 options for Laura Langman. She elects to hurl the ball into Van Dijk, who notches another.
And I guess for the likes of Van Dijk, she could just stand and hold every time. But what I like is she's going to her repertoire, a little bag of tricks, trying different things. Because in just a few days, it gets a lot tougher.
Held ball this time. So we're only a few minutes old, and already Papua New Guinea Peppi's really struggling against the Silver Ferns unit. Grace Rasmussen works the baseline nicely. Comes up short, but rebounds.
And here we see Van Dijk coming out from the centre pass.
And Rasmussen finishes. This is game 2 of Delhi 2010 for the netball. And earlier Australia, a comprehensive win by 76-39 over Samoa. But you'd have to say, Tanya, they didn't look as comprehensive as the Silver Ferns do so far. Halfway through the first spell, New Zealand against Papua New Guinea, 18-3. The Silver Ferns are leading. Leka. There's a good pass, but Barrett Chase reads it, takes it, feeds it. Van Dijk shoots it. And it's the Silver Ferns pass.
And Papua New Guinea not even putting pressure on that centre pass.
Rasmussen again, sure and steady. So you'd have to say the youngsters done a fine job getting the starting bib at goal attack. And Tanya, former shooter, giving her the thumbs up.
Certainly. And you see there better timing from Papua New Guinea. Silver Ferns just missing each one.
And an intercept for Papua New Guinea. Nisha Omi comes through for the intercept, so an opportunity for them. Cassman at wing attack. She gives away a lot of height. I mean, she couldn't even see around Jolene Henry for the feed. Now Katrina Grant, the throw-in, finds Henry. And they cruise through court to the Silver Ferns. It takes the Ferns out to 21 goals, 21-4 it is. 6 minutes left.
And that switch you saw there from Grant and Williams didn't come up with it, but you can see that's a practice move. Grant coming right out.
And these are the things that they'll be trying in matches like this. They certainly won't want any of those mistakes to slip. And they're away again. Stepping called though. So there've been a few footwork calls so far. Cassman, great feed to Melita Roberts. Finishes nicely. So you do wonder, Tanya, that Papua New Guinea team just starting to find their feet a little. As you say, perhaps slightly intimidated by the women wearing the black dresses.
Well, wouldn't you be if you were in Papua New Guinea?
And Leka really a free gift to Casey Williams.
That's the problem. When the Ferns get that turnover, they're just able to turn and let it go. So Papua New Guinea need to come up with a strategy just to slow that ball firing through the court.
And the lovely fluid shooting style of Grace Rasmussen really is a joy to watch. Van Dijk out again, wing attack side.
Silver Ferns putting on a wall type defence from that centre pass, making it just tough for the Papua New Guinea team to get that first ball away.
And Williams and Katrina Grant mixing it up too. Sometimes Katrina Grant's staying high on the goal defence side. And they're splitting the circle, so space marking. And I guess that's one of the joys about this defensive combination, Tanya, is that both players can play both goal defence and goal keep, so they're familiar with either side of the court.
Yeah, certainly they're switching their ability to do that. We've seen it against the world's best in McMahon and Medhurst, the way they, rattled them. So Grant, she was out, through the season with, I think it was a hand injury for a number of weeks. So
I don't think she wore the moon boot on her hand.
Oh, was it?
Foot injury, perhaps.
Foot injury. She's done well to come back, and she's been in outstanding form.
Just under 3.5 minutes remaining now until quarter time. 25-6 it is. New Zealand over the Papua New Guinea Peppies. As the Ferns fire it through court again, and Irene van Dijk, she's just taken ownership of that baseline. Langman again. Grace Rasmussen, what silky skills.
Even there, the little hook pass.
Roberts for Papua New Guinea. And held ball once again. So an unhappy time. As Irene van Dijk, just the elevation and the turning on the ball, the skills have been terrific so far. It's almost like a netball festival, isn't it?
And that precision placement from Henry puts it in exactly the right spot. And Williams, Casey Williams is another one who attacking, coming through the court, has got better and better.
So Papua New Guinea just trying to be as patient as they can, but that's almost inevitable. They need to take their feet to the ball. Langman now, circle edge, and Rasmussen ducks nicely into space. Just under 2 minutes remaining in this first spell, coming to you from Tyagaraja Stadium in Delhi, India, 30-6. New Zealand completely dominant so far over this Papua New Guinea side in their opening match of their Commonwealth Games campaign. Leka now tries for Roberts, but Casey Williams, that big old hand to it. And now Winnie Mavra, wing defence for Papua New Guinea, gets the throw in.
And Papua New Guinea just having to go back all the time. Ferns just penetrating forward, attacking every ball.
PNG center.
And Grace Rasmussen, nothing but net, shooting like a champion. And Van Dijk, what a repertoire. She certainly brought the whole bag of tricks to this one.
You just saw there that subtle footwork, this little dodge.
And the big smile on the dial.
4th Commonwealth Games for her, 3 for the New Zealand, 1 for South Africa.
Wow.
Williams trying to justify.
As all good goal defences do. I think
It
you're
was
allowed.
supposed to go there.
I think you're allowed 1 1/4 under Ruth Aiken. So Papua New Guinea now a small respite, a good charge through from Casman, who finds Lua Rickies. The rebound though, Katrina Grant, she flicks it back on court to her captain.
The reverse hook.
And that brings to a close the first 15 minutes between these two sides. It's been a mighty old start for the defending champions, New Zealand. They lead Papua New Guinea at quarter time, 33-6. It's 33-6. New Zealand's Silver Ferns are leading the Papua New Guinea Peppies in their opening match of Delhi 2010. Former Silver Fern Tanya Dalton, what a comprehensive display so far by the defending champs.
Yes, and I'm sure Coach Ruth Aitken, Waimarama Tamanu, we're extremely happy with that start. We see a change already. Maria Tutaye comes on at goal attack, so she gets her opportunity. But the timing, the letting go, the vision down court, and the switches between the Casey Williams, Katrina Grant, simply superb.
First blood this quarter though to Papua New Guinea. Lua Rickies makes the most of it. And Maria Tutaye will be wanting to make the most of her opportunities because Grace Rasmussen, who got the start in the goal attack bid, did a splendid job for New Zealand. A couple of little mistakes get the quarter underway. They're not wholly in the centre circle, the rule we hate, and then a breaking.
In Papua New Guinea, they seem to have tightened up just from the start of this quarter. Obviously got a rev up.
And Irene van Dijk, well, doesn't look to be too affected by all of the emotion that's surrounded a couple of milestones for her so far here in Delhi. She was our flag bearer last night at the opening ceremony. And her presence on court today, she is now the equal most capped New Zealand netballer with Leslie Rumball.
Pretty outstanding stat. And I guess for her being the flag bearer, for netballers in general, Sherelle McMahon for Australia, Mary Wire, we remember her from World Champs for Malawi, Laurel Brown for Barbados, Simone Forbes for Jamaica, so fantastic for our game to be represented there last night. And Williams on the charge there. This is her 49th test for New Zealand. Tomorrow the big 50, so huge achievement. Casey Williams only aged 25.
The zone defence from New Zealand. First time we've seen the full court press, and the Papua New Guinea Peppies just try to patiently work their way through it.
And it pays off.
We've seen plenty of variety from New Zealand on defence and attack, and that was a pretty awesome looking press as Tutaye just leans over on the baseline and finishes nicely.
Nice little dodge.
Well, the Papua New Guinea centre, Mona Lisa Lega, was eyeballing anyone in her team. Come on, guys, not another held ball. And it's Williams who's penalised. Katrina Grant has a go.
And for Grant, she turned there 3 options for her to throw to. So the defence of Papua New Guinea certainly not sticking tight.
Oh, Barrett Chase, so quick. Just phenomenal ball skills. Her ability to transfer the ball with speed's amazing.
And we know what an impact she can make at that wing attack position. We've seen Temepara George come on from looking at the bench. She's not even kitted up, so hopefully all good. Just resting from maybe a little niggle. But fantastic for the Ferns to have those 2 options at wing attack.
Roberts at goal attack for Papua New Guinea, and Casman doing plenty of work until they can find Lua Rickies. And after a really hesitant start, the Papua New Guinea goal shoot, Rickies has really started to settle in against Grant. Just these silly mistakes, so costly. Another breaking. And the Ferns are away again.
Straight line.
Manage breaking goal attack.
And here's the variety we've talked about. This time it's Van Dijk out of the circle before she goes back home under the post and wriggles her way into a shooting position. Lecker tries anything to try and penetrate this wall of black.
Again, having to go back to go forward. Just no option.
And this beautiful floating defence from New Zealand. Barrett Chase, what athleticism. And Van Dijk will finish smack bang under the goal. Great timing.
That hang time in the air.
She's a pocket rocket, all right. Such a compact, athletic player. And Tutaia, baseline. It's nice to see that when Van Dijk leaves the circle for New Zealand, Maria Tutaia is really making the most of the space that she's got.
Well, I guess it's from all her experience as a goal shoot as well. So she's got the ability to go into the circle. Van Dijk has got better and better in terms of coming out and then placing that ball in.
Wing attack side this time, and beautiful skills to Tutaia.
I guess passes like that one, although it went in beautifully, that diagonal against the more experienced lineups like England, like Jamaica, you know, we won't get away with that. So although we get away with stuff now, we've got to be very careful not just to fall into the habit.
So Coach Ruth Aiken looking on, taking notes.
And I guess for her, this is her 93rd test as Silver Ferns coach. 2 World Championships. She's been to 2 Commonwealth. This is her 2nd Commonwealth Games.
Tutaia looks in. Oh. And there's the ball speed again from Liana Barrett Chase. This time the cross court to Irene Van Dijk. So 8 minutes to run until half time, 44-10. It is the Silver Ferns leading the Papua New Guinea Pepes. Laura Langman penalised circle edge. And Roberts has a go, but Katrina Grant will have the throw in because Casey Williams just keeps spoiling anything that Papua New Guinea throw at them. 3 passes through court. And Tutaia finds herself in a shooting position. She's got it all, hasn't she, Van Dijk? Well, that was almost picture perfect.
Again, that sharp turn.
If you were a coach and you had a whiteboard, you were showing your team pretty much the perfect play on attack, that would have been it. Even with Katrina Grant stood down, the Papua New Guinea Pepes have to look back.
And look, you hear the Pepes there screaming, give it to me. Bit of frustration in their faces.
Lecker will take the penalty with Laura Langman stood down. And nothing on. Really lucky to get the call. It goes against Katrina Grant. So Rickies will have a go. And it just bobbles around the movement in these posts here at
we've seen some
stadium.
Fall in, some fall out. So as a shooter, you always try to aim it in so it doesn't actually hit the ring.
Free gift to Katrina Grant, so the Ferns are away again. And Tanya, the woman charged with setting up this venue, and an Australian lady called Carmel Wright, who's lived here for 17 months. And you can certainly imagine the challenges that she's faced She said that the Indian officials who were helping her establish this, because essentially she was handed a shell, you know, weren't sure how to secure a goalpost. They've done the floor twice because since the pre-games tournament in July, there were some complaints that the floor was parting and perhaps a little uneven. So she's done a tremendous amount, a bit of an unsung hero in getting this venue up to a world-class stadium. And I can tell you that just before this match, I was chatting away to Molly Roan, the head of IFNA, and Molly said that IFNA have definitely given this stadium the double thumbs up. So that's great news, isn't it?
Yeah, and for Carmel, she must be a big, huge sigh of relief that this is underway, everybody's happy. You talk to all the players, they've all trained here, and they love the floor, they love the whole feel of it. Behind this number 1 court, there's 2 warm-up courts, which is unusual for a stadium, so yeah, good times.
5 minutes left to run now until half-time, 49-10.
And Pepe's come up with the turnover. I guess for them, you know, they've got to have a crack. They've got to get out there.
It's certainly been a severe drought for them in this second spell. They've scored just 4 goals so far. It's Barrett Chase, the nice little underhand flick to Tutaia, who converts. Takes the Silver Ferns to the half century, and we're not even at half time, so will we see the first century of the Commonwealth Games? Katrina Grant, brilliant.
And
the reading and timing of the game, just beautiful.
I guess this format in the Commonwealth Games very similar to World Champs, which will be in Singapore next year, so earlier rounds, often huge blowouts.
Sublime bounce past Tutaia, gets a whole lot of distance. And the offload. So you'd have to say a little bit of a thankless task for the Papua New Guinea defenders, Nisha Omi and Rakanape. And they stand at 1.74 m and 1.75 m to the Papua New Guinea circle defence. So you'd really want, I don't know, springs in your boots. Absolutely beautiful combination between Tutaia and Van Dijk. Well, I thought the throw-in was going to be given to Papua New Guinea then, but their wing attack, Rachandra Kasman, had in fact just danced through the goal third, so offside, and Tutaia offloads to Van Dijk, who notches up another.
And the Silver Ferns going at 93% compared to the Papua New Guinea, 58%.
Yeah, everything running the way of the Silver Ferns. And I think Irene Van Dijk has every right to be wearing a big, broad grin. Roberts this time at goal attack tries to shoot over the long arms of Williams. Good discipline shown on defence of the shot from the Silver Ferns defenders. They're just having such an impact. Henry, transverse line. And this time it's Tutaia who gets the chance to convert, and she does. Oh, Niana Barrett Chase.
Tutaia drew the defence there, drew the defence. Jolene Henry.
She goes solo, she takes out the bleachers, and she gets the ball for her team. Van Dijk charges onto the baseline. Nice tidy drive.
All the security.
Well, nothing really looked like it was on for Leka, but they get there in the end, do the Peppies.
Nice bit of footwork. Keys.
air ball though. And the Silver Ferns romp continues. Comes up short, this Tutaia, so a rebound for the Pepes. Buys them a little breathing space before they hit the wall of black again. Ricky's out of the circle, does nicely, and a lovely pass into Melissa Roberts.
And Roberts there trying to control the traffic. Give her team a lift.
Tutaia from wide out, and up short again. Not under any major defensive pressure either. And the full court zone being enforced by the Silver Ferns. Let's see what it turns up. Hand to it, Barrett Chase. And that brings to a close the first half of this first exchange for the defending champions, Silver Ferns. And boy, have they dominated the lead. The Papua New Guinea Pepes at half-time, 57-12. Awaiting the start of the third quarter between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea at Tiagaraj Stadium, the netball venue for the 2010 Commonwealth Games here in Delhi. And at halftime, well, the score, former Silver Fern Tanya Dalton, 57-12. I think you would call that New Zealand dominance.
I think you'd call that a bit of a downtrout. That unbelievable start for the Ferns in all aspects of their play. They've had a couple of changes in terms of down the shooting end of Van Dyke. Started with Rasmussen, finished with Tutaia on fire at 89% they're going at. Defensively, Grant and Williams are showing their switching, their versatility. And through the court, the likes of Henry, Liana Barrett Chase Langman bringing it through, straight lines, mixing it up. Yeah, fantastic start.
Ruth Aiken gone for basically her strongest seven. She has, as you say, played around a little with Grace Rasmussen getting the start at goal attack, then Maria Tutaia coming on. The value for these players against an opposition which really is not up to it, if you like.
Well, you look at Ruth's starting lineup. Henry, Liana Barrett Chase, Katrina Grant, Grace Rasmussen. This is their first Commonwealth Games. The rest of the players have all been to a Commonwealth Games. So I think it was key for her to get them out on court, get amongst it. Now they need to start going through their set plays. You know, it's very hard against opposition like this because it seems quite easy. So they need to challenge themselves. And although it can just go boom, boom, straight in sometimes, they'll be saying, this 5 minutes, we're going to keep it flat. This 5 minutes, we're going to pass to the, you know, the back defenders on the centre pass. So they'll have their challenges and they'll be wanting to reach their targets, which they would have set this morning or last night.
Commonwealth Games are really similar formula to World Champs as far as the tournament format goes. You were there in Jamaica. You had some blowout games. Absolutely. So as you say, what, five-minute targets and specific things that you have to measure up to as you go?
Yeah, I still have visions of the bar charts that we had up on the wall, you know, what we wanted to achieve as shooters, as centre passes, you know, percentage turnovers. And although you think that these girls are just coming out and playing and having a ball, they do want to reach their targets and they will be tough on themselves. For the Ferns, you know, it's about, I'm sure we'll see each player get out there. They've got to prove a point to Ruth and why, because in a few days we're up, you know, our first tough game up against England, so points to prove.
The New Zealand and Papua New Guinea players coming back on court, and you'll notice no bib on Irene van Dyke. Changes are plenty as we just have a look here at the stadium at some of the changes being implemented by the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken. Maria Tutaia is still there at goal attack, but Anna Scarlett introduced at goalkeep. You can expect a pretty high energy performance from her. Danica Wipiiti introduced at goal shoot.
It's been looking like Liana Barrett Chase has moved out to centre, and Grace Rasmussen, we've seen her a lot for the Mystics at wing attack. So Temapara George certainly not taking the court.
So the third quarter underway here at Tiagaraj Stadium. The Silver Ferns opener against the Papua New Guinea Pepes, and some tall timber introduced for the Pepes. That should make a difference, but the turnover all the same goes the way of the Silver Ferns. So this third quarter really continuing as the first half is played out. And Danica Whippiiti, a nice settler for her. Rasmussen tries to get the ball speed going, but waits patiently for Tutaia to front cut. Rebound to Whippiiti. And the turnover. So a slightly nervous start to Whippiiti, but we know once she settles into her work,
she can slot them from anywhere. New shooter for Papua New Guinea, Te Ata Baldwin, 1.91 centimetres, so she'll provide a bit more of a target for her feeders.
Taking a while to settle into that new combination, though. The Pepe's turnovers are plenty for the Ferns so far. Brilliant loop pass in from Rasmussen. The target was Tutaia. She found her beautifully, and Tutaia finishes. Roberts and Licky again, the combination on the centre pass, and a hope and hurl.
Big diagonal, not ideal.
Easy stuff through court, but a misunderstanding between Rasmussen and Barrett Chase. They'll try to remedy that, no doubt.
That old, I thought you were going there.
Yeah, the old finger point.
But you didn't.
So Licker now. And Danica Whippiiti. Attackers love getting intercepts. Rasmussen in the pocket.
And such an effective 3-foot marker. Whippiiti, like Van Dyke, they can do so much damage. Just her shot just falling a bit short.
And Tan, as a former shooter, when you're introduced into a game like this, to find your rhythm and to get your shot on song, pretty important that you do it in the first couple of moments.
Yeah, and playing against Papua New Guinea, a different style than what we're all used to. So sometimes it's nice just to find your little favourite spot. Your feeders know it. Put you there and sink it.
Tutaia, and a lovely drive Whippiiti. She's doing everything right as far as her court movement goes. Peels around, nice space created between the shooting combination.
And there's that goal ring we've been talking about. Just rolls around and plops out.
Oh, Anna Scarlett. Good, solid man-on-man marking against the newcomer Baldwin. Oh, Williams. Spies it, fires it. And there's the Scarlett intercept. Lovely, clean, good defence. You practice that time and again as a defender. 2 steps back and then bolt upright.
And that ability to jump straight up.
Rasmussen waits for the perfect option into Whippiiti. And she takes the settler. Good patient timing. You'd imagine the temptation to, just hurl the ball around willy-nilly would certainly be there.
Oh, Scarlett.
Yeah, so clean and so precise. And what she's doing around Baldwin is she's changing her sides defensively, Tanya. It's so interesting to watch.
Keeping herself in between the ball and the goal.
And making it super difficult for the Papua New Guinea attackers to work out where her free space is. Not quite a whistle, so we'll go back for the centre pass. Barrett Chase steps into the circle. Rasmussen this time is the receiver.
Simple little pop from Whippiiti.
Ten minutes left to play now. Quarter. 65-12. The score as the big bomb goes into Baldwin and she finishes. So a glimpse from Papua New Guinea anyway. Rasmussen hurls the big pass. Beautiful. Spectacular.
Keep it by. Yes.
And in games like this, when the score's blown out, the confidence to let it go, and I guess it's that fine line between having a go and doing silly things.
Held ball the call. So really nothing going the way of the Peppies. Kupiiti out of the circle this time.
Advantage offside.
And the Ferns look to work those spaces. Tutaia turns and shoots. Plenty of variety on the centre pass too from the Silver Ferns. So many different setups, whether it's wing attack, goal attack set up behind one another or playing flat on the line. So they're certainly trying just a whole multitude of things in this opener.
Same for the centre pass on defence, you know, sometimes they're dropping, letting them have the first phase, other times where they're putting the wall on. So yeah, like I said, I'm sure they'll be working in 5-minute chunks.
Rasmussen and Barrett Chase combine, but the intercept goes the way of the Papua New Guinea Peppies. Penalty set, and Roberts, who's moved across to wing attack from the goal attack position, tries the Hail Mary. It's certainly not on. Throw in to Scarlett.
Williams flying.
That is a stunning pass. That was 2 passes through court, straight into Tutaia, straight through the hoop. Roberts and Licker again combine.
Again, Scarlett just showing that ability to go up, straight up with that one hand and stay off your shooter. Because quite often when you go up like that, you fall back on the shooter and you get penalised, but she's certainly...
Yeah, any young defender, that's how it's done. And, you know, in talking to Anna Scarlett, her reintroduction or reinjection into netball at the top level, you know, after so many years as a professional volleyball player, you have to say that the volleyball's probably helped and enhanced her game.
Certainly at goal keep, where she's at the moment tied on, going right up. It's like going up for a spike.
A spike?
I don't know a lot about volleyball, but yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with her elevation. And she's one of those players that her commitment, her
enthusiasm.
She loves perfection. And she'll analyse and analyse to get the best out of her performance.
Kupiiti and Tutaia combining nicely in this third quarter. It's a new combination on in the third spell. Roberts finds Ricky's. And better ball speed from Papua New Guinea. Scarlett called for distance though. And nice finishing from Ricky's. Brings a smile to the dial. Good timing, good turnover. And Grace Rasmussen perhaps guilty of just the step forward. As Papua New Guinea now try to penetrate once again.
Casey Williams take a bow.
Yep, it's like a festival of netball. Just so pretty to watch the Silver Ferns team. Irene van Dijk gives her teammates a round of applause. It's not often we see her sitting on the bench, but you can expect Ruth Aiken and Waitamanu to play just about every combination through the early stages of this Commonwealth Games campaign. Tutaia now goes again herself. Contact called. Barrett Chase resets and Rasmussen circle edge. Just under 4.5 minutes now until three-quarter time. 74-16, New Zealand dominating Papua New Guinea. New Zealand running at 87% in the shooting stats. Papua New Guinea at just 55 as Scarlett nabs another. And a good up to go back to Tahir, regathers her balance.
Wapiiti coming out, mixing it up. Oh, nice little body roll from Tutaia.
And how encouraging is it to see, Tanya, that variety?
Well, and that's what they've got to do out there. You know, it's so easy to do the same thing in a game like this, but you've got to keep challenge yourself as a team, as an individual, and mix it up, because in a few days it's game on against a lot tougher opposition.
Well, the big pool game for New Zealand, of course, against England, and you'd have to say this one's in the bag, in the back of the mind.
Yeah,
They would be thinking about what they can implement over the final 15 minutes that they'll be using against England, who really are an arch foe.
And talking to Ruth, you know, although they do look at their opposition, the likes of Papua New Guinea, the likes of Cook Islands tomorrow, they're still each day revisiting, you know, England, Jamaica, Australia. They've got to keep on track of what they're doing, how they're playing it. England have come here pretty confident. They think it's their time to you know, push for that gold medal. So,
and it is the most important pool game, and it is being played at 9:30 in the morning Indian time, which, you know, is pretty unheard of as far as a big international netball test goes. But Ruth Aiken has been simulating the early morning starts. They've been having, you know, dawn trainings.
yeah, but they've come from Singapore and been playing. They've had a couple of runs against Singapore and the wider squad. So, you know, they're ready. They've known the draw for a while now. So it's all about, I guess, ticking off each box, doing the work. This is the good fun. The hard yards have been done. It's going to get tougher, but this is the good fun part about putting it out on court.
So 80 goals, make that 81 on the board for New Zealand. A couple of minutes to run until three-quarter time. This is game one for the defending champions here at Tyagaraja Stadium, this beautiful netball venue in Delhi. Scarlett has another go. She's rampant. And this time Henry, the away hand. And there's those volleyball skills. Tanya taps it back into her teammate, and we're away again. The rebound this time to Tutaia, and Nope will be made to stand down. Good angles. An exciting attacking combination for New Zealand, no doubt about that.
And the good thing is, although the big bomb can go on every time, you know, they're mixing up. At the moment, they're playing flat, using the triangles. I thought that was going to go in the goal.
Anna Scarlett will take the throw-in.
And that backline throw-in there, you saw Liana Barrett chase screen for Williams to get the long run on attack through the court. So fantastic to see some of these setups, which they will have worked on over and over. They probably think about them in their sleep.
The perfect lob from Tutaia to Wapiiti, who finishes beautifully. And that was to no one. So Jolene Henry says, I'll have that. Thank you very much. And a long-range opportunity for Wapiiti. No trouble at all. And that brings to an end the third quarter here at Tyagaraja Stadium. And once again, it's the Silver Ferns who've been completely dominant. They'll go into the final 15 minutes of this match ahead by 86-16. And we're back to wrap up the last 15 minutes of New Zealand's first pool game at these Commonwealth Games very shortly. Getting set for game time in the final quarter at Te Agorage Stadium between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. It's the Silver Ferns who lead 86-16, and former Fern Tanya Dalton. Comprehensive so far. I think we're in store. First century on the way.
Yep, I think you might be right there. It certainly has blown out. The Ferns are, oh, as I say that, they take a tumble, but you know, they've found everyone's got on, bar Timapara, George, so it'll be interesting to see if she's just got a little niggle. See Liana de Brain come on, so everyone's getting a run around. They've all come on. They've shown just how keen, how fit, how strong they are out there, and they're just getting into their paces.
Barrett Chase resets, and Tutaia, her combination with Whippy-Eaty's been spectacular in the second spell, and Whippy-Eaty really on song. And Timapara George, as you say, Tanya Dalton, not even kitted out.
No, and I guess for us in the Silver Ferns team, we haven't seen much of Rasmussen as a wing attack, so I guess that's another option for Ruth, should anything happen to the likes of Barrett Chase and George.
Roberts has a go from the outer edges of the circle. It pays off though, because she gets the rebound right under the post. And Tutaia, the lovely big lob to Whippy-Eaty on the baseline. She doesn't show much emotion, Danica Whippy-Eaty, but when her eyes in, Scarlett has a go, and she'll get left behind. Barrett Chase will be penalised, and Lecker will set the penalty over the top of two big, tall players, though. Liana de Brain just not able to control it. Throw into the Peppies, around the goalpost. Clever play.
Barrett Chase sneakily yanks the ball off. Leak up.
And she has a go at everything, doesn't she? Lovely touches. Could have been gorgeous for the Papua New Guinea players, but just dribbles out the back line. So throwing now to the Ferns. Barrett Chase charges. A good straight lines again, New Zealand.
Tutaia just guilty of trying to do a wee layup.
And we saw Papua New Guinea the introduction of Tall Timber and Baldwin at goal shoot for the third quarter, but they've gone back to the tried and true of the first half with Melita Roberts back out to goal attack and Lua Rickies at goal shoot.
Yeah, Baldwin, she was a big target, but they still just struggled to find her. Scarlett certainly got in her head, rattled her from the start.
Whippy-Eaty follows in her own rebound, so good body position. And a little wry smile.
Oh, beautiful roll.
Nicely seen too by Maria Tutaia, and that's just such a skill.
The ability to connect with the other shooter, to turn and look. And listen to that talk from the Ferns.
And again, with this defensive combination, we see more variety. So Scarlett and Liana de Brain splitting the circle and space marking that zone split circle defence, which is so effective. Rasmussen now finds Tutaia on the baseline.
Again.
Just a simple dodge, good basics done well.
Mid-court zone being applied.
Yeah, and that's a copybook New Zealand defence, and that's exactly what it sets out to achieve. Liana Barrett Chase a little bit disappointed. Felt she could have implemented the turnover, But it's good, courageous stuff from the Kiwis.
And the way they're working together, that constant chatter.
And Ricky's good use of her body and good finishing. So that was one back for Papua New Guinea, but at 93-18.
To Brain, hunting.
And just the good basic straight line attack from this New Zealand side. Good understanding, good rebounding, and it's all the stuff that in a game like this, it's good to see.
And Whippieti, I think she's trying a bit more in this quarter, mixing it up, showing her footwork.
Mope used again on the transverse line, and the Papua New Guinea players have had to return to that transverse time and again just to try and get through the New Zealand defence.
Ferns constantly pushing the Peppies, pushing them up, attacking every ball.
Throw-in goes the way of Papua New Guinea, so they'll have another chance. In fact, it starts on court, so an infringement there. It's Scarlett.
The away hand coming round.
Oh, and such quick progress through court. They'll go again, and Tutaia will have another chance to make amends. Does so. The New Zealanders shooting at 84% in this match, Papua New Guinea at 56, but the differences aren't just in the shooting stats. The New Zealanders have just been utterly and completely dominant.
Again, tight man-on-man marking off that centre pass. Papua New Guinea nowhere to go.
But even on the defence of the centre pass from New Zealand, the variety that's there, they're trying so many different things that the wing defence and goal defence are starting on the outside of their player with the centre defending on the transverse line. So there's so much being tried. Hell ball stepping, just you name it, they run out of options. Tutaia offloads to Whippieti, a nice offload it was as well. And they're the ones you need to finish, even though you're up by 97-18, or make that 98. With 7 minutes remaining.
Big swing.
And the scraps go the way of Papua New Guinea.
It's quite easy at this stage in the game to get sloppy. Ferns will want to finish strong.
And Whippieti just really sure and steady. Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aiken be happy enough with her team's performance. And you have to say, from Papua New Guinea's point of view, Tanya, it hasn't been for lack of trying. The heads haven't dropped.
Which they quite easily could have.
Oh, lovely.
To think 57-12 at half-time. And it's looking like
Time call, we might be seeing a big change.
Lika.
Well, I guess it'll give the Papua New Guinea team a chance to take stock and try and finish strongly in this one. It's 99-19. So yes, I think you'd call it a blowout, but this New Zealand side
Waimarama Tamanu. Have we seen a smile yet, or still?
Lots of communication going in as we take a look at
the quarter time scores.
Score by quarter.
And that
There's a real sameness to it, isn't there?
certainly is. Only 3 goals this quarter, Papua New Guinea, so they'll want to keep their score down. But we've nearly hit the 100 for the Kiwis.
Well, they like their cricket here in India, don't they? So a century's only appropriate. So nothing in that injury, just a little bit of a netballer's change of direction.
A little skiddy. Maybe just a bit of a regroup.
It's been known to happen.
Timely time.
So resumption of play, 6 minutes left on the clock. And this will bring up the New Zealand century against Papua New Guinea. And Danica Wipiiti does so. So you'd have to say an impressive start to the defence of their Commonwealth crown. And then it'll be interesting after this match, Tanya, to get the views of the shooters. There's been plenty of movement in
the hoops.
Yeah. Papua New Guinea now turn and fire. And Tutaien knows that was a bit of a late charge. Rickies is out of the circle again.
Contact, wing attack, violence is obstruction. Contact centre, penalty.
Barrett Chase, full game today. Nuggety just having a go at everything.
Manage offside.
Barrett Chase and Jolene Henry, the only 2 Silver Ferns to have a full game in this one. Not that the game's over, of course, team. We've got 4.5 minutes to run. Rickies has a go. It bounces off though, so Scarlett will throw in for New Zealand. And De Bruyn, just a miscommunication. She thought that Liana Barrett Chase was driving onto the ball.
Wing attack,
Yeah.
obstruction, no more. Manage obstruction centre.
And Roberts, she's had a good game for Papua New Guinea. Oh, just about there, fingertip stuff. Roberts will try, I was about to say try and shoot over the arms of Liana De Bruyn, but no way, and a deflection and a Scarlett, what skills.
And was not pulled for obstruction, so
Perfect timing.
you don't see a lot of those.
And the rebound this time, so eventually New Zealand get a chance to add to their century. Rasmussen and Barrett Chase charge through, great pass to Tutaia.
Yeah, screen by Wipiiti. So leaving Tutaia free on the base, but they'll want to finish these. This is, you know, the last 5 minutes of a game.
Jolene Henry this time, and a nice tidy hand to it. She regathers her own tip. Not sure who that was for.
We'll call it a planned move for the Ferns.
And great skills, Jolene Henry.
And Rasmussen going wide on the centre pass.
And the combination between Barrett Chase and Rasmussen, really nice through the midcourt.
And just a little bit of sloppy placement there from Tutaia.
And nice skills. Rickies wanting to pass out and in though, just to get herself into a better shooting position. She doesn't need it though. Good finishing. High
Huge
fives.
sigh.
Just over 2 minutes left in this one. 101 to 20. It's Leka for Papua New Guinea. Looks for Ricky's, finds her on the baseline. Good stuff.
And a late charge from Papua New Guinea.
Wing attack side, Maria Tutaia looks for the big bomb. And nice angles again being played by the Silver Ferns. Tutaia finishes nicely. And Captain Casey Williams has watched the second half of this one from the bench. So the Silver Ferns management giving just about everyone a run in this one. Not enough drop on the pass. And it's Ricky's again. She's been such a dominant player, has the Papua New Guinea goal shoot.
And the Scarlet,
circle edge. Scarlet's
smirk.
trying to suggest it might be inside the circle.
She looks so sweet and innocent sometimes.
The brain, the rebound, they're away again. Beautifully guided. Oh, but footwork called, so no goal. Grace Rasmussen this time the intercept. Call replayed ball though. I think she regathered after 2 bats and a catch, they call it.
Oh, Henry again. Oh, she knocked out the other side in the other quarter and she's just about taken out the TV camera. No wonder she chipped her tooth in Singapore.
Having a bit of a laugh at her own coordination, I think, is Jolene Henry. Still, she's just had such an effective performance. And that'll be it. New Zealand's defence of their Commonwealth Games crown is underway and it started beautifully. They've completely dominated Papua New Guinea, winning by 102 to 21. Tanya, pass mark.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a 10. They're a fantastic way to start. Everyone got on. They've got rid of the jitters or whatever you have at the Commonwealth Games. Good feeling amongst the team. I think they started strong. They finished here just in the last few minutes, let it go a bit, but in general, they'll be pretty happy with that performance.
So one of the great things in netball is the sharing between the two teams. They're very gracious of the Silver Ferns, really, because they have notched up a mighty old score against Papua New Guinea, and Tanya, they've dominated in every area of play.
Well, look at that. Okay, yeah, the shooting 83%, but the intercepts, the deflections, 22 intercepts, 26 deflections, you know, an outstanding defensive game by all of the players that took the court, right from, you know, goal shoot through. So they'd be very happy with that. I think the shooting probably slipped a little bit towards the end. They'll want to pick up on that. I think they'll be looking to hit over 90% in this game, so that we're certainly capable of it. But a fantastic start for the Kiwis.
Talk to me about some of the combinations that you liked out there in the black dress.
Well, the starting defensive combination of Katrina Grant and Casey Williams, I thought the way they mixed it up. We see here the shooting combination of Irene van Dyk, Grace Rasmussen. Didn't think they'd start, but again, Rasmussen, the way she was slicing, cutting through the circle, opening it up for Van Dyk. Van Dyk showing her repertoire. Down the defensive end, you know, Casey Williams flying through, coming up with numerous intercepts and deflections. And through that midcourt, you know, Barrett Chase, she was outstanding for me, not only on attack today, but defence. We saw her flying through the air, you know, that control. Very, very seldom did we see her make a mistake. So a big ups to her.
And strategically, the variety that we saw, not just on defence, where we saw the tight man-on-man marking, we saw the circle split, we saw full court zones, we saw prong defences coming into the goal thirds, but also on attack, the different options that were offered by those combinations. So much variety.
Yeah, on the centre pass, you know, you often saw the overload on one side, the shooter coming right out, the goal attack going in and switching and playing the goal shoot role. So there was a real variety there. You could see that they were ticking them all off, kept it simple though. And I think, you know, when a game like this blows out like that, there is that time where you think, oh, we could just do crazy things, but to the Silver Ferns' credit, they kept at it, they kept pushing through. Very seldom did we see a wild thing, you know, the odd stray pass, but that's only natural in the game.
And Tanya, the challenge now for New Zealand, basically like the rest of us who are here, it's a bit of a security lockdown, so they can't go sightseeing, they're not going to go to the markets. How do they maintain that focus as their pool games progress?
I think that is the real strength of the Silver Ferns team. They are such a together team, and that will keep them going.
Well, they've hit the century, so they've made a mighty old start, have the defending champions. They've beaten Papua New Guinea here at Te Agorage Stadium by 102 to 21.